Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching Oman News. First, the headlines. The main committee of Crescent sighting announces that Sunday, the 29th of June, will be the first day of the holy month of Ramadan. The Shura Council Office decides to form a work team to study the decision of Public Authority for Consumer Protection to its commodity list that requires monitoring. And the Consultative Authority of Gulf Cooperation Council countries discusses human resources development and applying of a unified tourism visa among the Council countries. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has received a cable of thanks from His Majesty King Harald V of Norway in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on his country's National Day. The main committee of Crescent sighting announced that due to what has been proven by astronomy science of confirmation that the descent of Ramadan crescent on the 29th of the month of Sha'ban 1435 Hijrah before the sunset in most governorates of the Sultanate and the descent of the same time of the sunset in other governorates, and there will be no possibility of sighting the crescent on that day. Therefore, they enact to what used to be done of not accepting any reports in such cases for being contradictory to the reality and science, where scientific facts deny possibility of the sighting categorically. The committee announced that Saturday, the 28th of June 2014, is the 30th day of the month of Sha'ban 1435 Hijrah, and Sunday, the 29th of June, will be the first day of the holy month of Ramadan. On this occasion, the Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs forwards to His Majesty Sultan Qaboos best wishes and greetings on the advent of the month of fasting, requesting Almighty Allah to renew this occasion on His Majesty for countless years, and the Ministry also greets the Omani people and Islamic nation to this blessed occasion. On this occasion, His Eminence Sheikh Ahmed ibn Hamad al-Khalili, Grand Mufti of the Sultanate, said he is honored to extend his sincere greetings and best wishes to His Majesty Sultan Qaboos and all members of his family, requesting Almighty to protect His Majesty and bestow upon him His blessings and crown him with good health and prosperity. His Eminence also congratulated the Omani people on this occasion, as well as all Muslims around the world, and he calls on Muslims to adhere to the Holy Quran and its teachings and to carry on with their worship and devotion. He requested Almighty Allah to enable His Majesty and all Muslims to carry out their religious duties in this month, and that to be the reason for Muslims' solidarity, unity of their world, and patch up of their differences and elimination all reasons of contentions to be unified, single and strong nation. Shura Council Office decided in its meeting today forming a work team to study backgrounds of the last decision of the Public Authority of Consumer Protection concerning approval of the basic and necessary products list, which should be monitored. The office also discussed a host of topics, mainly the report of the Legislative and Legal Committee regarding the proposal project of amending some provisions, Penalty Law of Oman, amendment project of some provisions of traffic law in the Sultanate, as well as Facts Pursue Committee report and Moria project and the Medical City. The office further reviewed the establishment study of residential complexes and their soft installments and possessions, in addition to the discussion demand rendered by a number of council members to Her Excellency the Minister of Education. Matters of joint concern and ways of existing military cooperation between the defense ministries of Oman and France was the main topic of discussion at the meeting of His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Saud bin Harib Al Busaidi, Minister responsible for Defense Affairs, with His Excellency Jean-Yves Le Drian, Minister of Defense of France, in the French capital Paris. They also discussed ways of boosting relations between the two countries in military fields to serve the joint interest. The meeting comes within the context of His Excellency the Minister's visit to France to attend activities of defense equipment exhibition. In its third meeting of the 17th round, advisory body of Gulf Cooperation Council countries discussed in Muscat evaluating the march of the GCC countries, national human resources and unified tourism visa. It was presided over by His Excellency Abdullah Yaqub Bishara, chairman of the GCC advisory body. The body in its meeting will set final approval on its vision to be forwarded to the GCC summit to be ratified. The Ministry of Health signed an agreement with WJ Towel Company to provide medical and non-medical equipment and patients who cannot afford to. The agreement came as a desire by the company to present some of its financial resources to promote social services and economic projects. It was signed by His Excellency Dr. Darwish bin Asif Al-Maharbi, Under Secretary of the Ministry of Health for Administrative and Financial Affairs. Still to come in our news bulletin. The Omani Astronomy Heritage Encyclopedia is inaugurated.
تجوال عمان للخيول 2014 الخميس بعد أخبار 10 مساء، ويعاد الجمعة بعد أخبار 2 ظهرا.
The international tourism offices affiliated to the Ministry of Tourism played a significant role in introducing touristic potentials in the Sultanate with the aim to attract tourists from various countries. The Ministry of Tourism held its annual meeting in Muscat to discuss the latest in the field of tourism. The meeting reviewed visions, programs and new projects implemented by the government to promote tourism, in addition to the marketing programs in the coming period. The Sultan's strategy in this field was to preserve historical, civilizational and cultural heritage of the Omani society to contribute in the development of tourism. In order to spread awareness among the community on electronic tip-off, the Financial Investigation Unit at the Royal Oman Police organized a forum on suspicious financial transactions and ways of tip-off. More than 35 public and private bodies took part in the forum. The event discussed several work papers on the roles of financial institutions and citizens in combating suspicious financial transactions and its impact on the reputation of the country abroad. It also discussed ways to set up an effective program for money laundering combat. The forum also aimed to benefit from the participating specialists and experts concerned with combating suspicious financial crimes to come up with recommendations and mechanisms that serve financial institutions in the Sultanate. The Director General of Education in the Governorate of Dhahira organized a number of programs and activities in summer centers in the Wilaya of Yankul. Among the activities was the Omani Heritage Village that included features of the Omani life, namely traditional and craft industries, in addition to Omani customs. In this village, the female students learned to make handicrafts and to cook some local Omani dishes. The summer center also focused on courses in Photoshop, English language and learning basic computer skills, as well as workshops on mechanics and scientific experiments. In a meeting characterized with transparency in discussing various topics, Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry branch in the Governorate of Musandam organized a meeting for male and female entrepreneurs in the Governorate. The event is part of the Chamber's activities this year. Various issues were raised by the participants, including manpower, law violating expatriates, discussed trade, summer protection, food control, fish transport license for the Wilaya of Dabba. The Sultan Qaboos Higher Center for Culture and Science inaugurated the Old Omani Astronomy Heritage Encyclopedia, An Influence of Planets and Stars on Human Activities. It came to be the new cultural edition in the Omani Library. The inauguration ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Khalid bin Salim Al-Saidi, Secretary General of the State Council. The encyclopedia included charts, numbers, data and comparisons and other information in astronomy field. It included 1,800 pages and will be a source for the future researchers in the field. Now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of the Far, with chances of intermittent rain over parts of the coastal areas of the Governorate of Worcester. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with chances of dust-raising winds. Winds will be southerly to southwesterly light to moderate along the southeastern coast, while it will be northwesterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coast areas overlooking the Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 3.5 meters. Rest of the Sultanate coast will be slight with the maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The main committee of crescent sighting announces that Sunday, the 29th of June, will be the first day of the holy month of Ramadan. The Shura Council Office decides to form a work team to study the decision of Public Authority for Consumer Protection to its commodity lists that requires monitoring. And the advisory body of Gulf Cooperation Council's countries discusses human resources development and applying a unified tourism visa among the council countries. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studio and the newsroom, it's good night.